Hello and welcome to the Balanced CEO podcast. I am your show host, Neil Langdon. Today I'm going to be talking to you all about my journey of being a mum without a mum. It certainly has not been an easy one, and I feel like this wasn't talked about enough when I was in the early stages of being a parent. I got very severe postnatal depression when my daughter was about 1 year old. I loved everything about being a parent up until then. That's really when it all started to get extremely hard. Obviously, it wasn't easy going through all of that without a mum, but I definitely did have support around me. Willow's grandma is very, very helpful on her dad's side, so that definitely made things a lot easier. But not having your own mum there when you go through that is it's an experience that nobody will ever understand. And I think I've been very envious of the mother-daughter dynamic of a lot of people that I have around me, and how much support that they have there, and how, trusting and nurturing and loving that relationship is. I also understand and have a lot of people around me who don't have that. I feel like I have been on one hell of a journey as a mum over the past 5 years. I have not found any of it easy. The past 5 years have been so freaking hard in their own ways when it comes to being a parent. And this is not to say that there is anything wrong with Willow, or there is anything wrong with my parenting or anything like that. I am just coming to talk about my real lived experience. This is how I have been feeling and living. And honestly, I wish that I could sit here and say that I love every part of being a parent, but I simply don't, because it is fucking tough. It is the hardest job in the world, and it has broken me in so many different ways, more so than anything else in my life. I struggle to come to terms with just how hard it is some days. I don't think that it's fair. Like, I know that we, are meant to go through this, and this is what's meant to bring us out of our triggers and our trauma, and they're here to heal us, and I understand all of that. But the reality is that women are living in what feels like fucking hell in their heads sometimes. That sounds blunt, but that is real. The conversations that I have with women are that they just don't even know who the hell they are anymore, because all they do is everything for their kids or their husbands or their career, because they've just completely lost themselves. And I think there is just so much societal pressure to mums to be doing all the things and to be regulated and to not yell at your kids and to do all that. But the reality is that that's not what it's like day in and day out. And what we're seeing on, social media is the highlight reel of parenting. Like, that's what I love about TikTok, is that a lot of women are actually showing the truth about what it is like to raise children, especially as a single mum. Parenting is just hard anyway, regardless of if you are a single parent or you don't have a parent or you don't have support around you. Just at the end of the day, it is fucking hard. And some people find it a lot easier than others. And some people can't understand why people find it hard. This is what I want to touch and talk about on today, is that just because you don't understand why somebody finds it hard does not give you the right to judge them for finding it hard. Some people had some really, really horrific upbringings around having no nurturing and having no parents who showed them how to regulate themselves or to deal with their emotions. And then they were just like thrown into being a parent and expected to know what the hell to do. And most people don't. And then that's when all of these triggers and this trauma and all of this stuff comes up, and we're not taught to know how to deal with it. Our kids are here to show us what needs to be healed and what our triggers are. But if we do not have the tools and we haven't been shown, how on earth do we know how to change any of that? How do we know how to deal with any of that? How do we know how to cope? So then quite often we blame our child. We're blaming our children. Oh, this must be something wrong with them. They've got to have ADHD. That put them on medication. Like, fuck. No, there's not anything wrong with your child. There's not anything wrong with you. We just haven't learned to know how to deal with any of that, me included. Like, I lose my shit on a daily. Like, I'm here to admit that 80% of my time is hard with Willow. I have a very strong-willed, strong-minded, stubborn, and high-needs child. Like, I don't like comparing child to child, but, I've got younger siblings and the difference is pretty big. And that is just my reality. It is what it is. I'm not saying that, that it is something and that she's in the wrong. Or, no, it is what it is. And this is the reality. And this is why I wanted to come and talk about it. And the reasoning behind majority of my triggers is from my trauma. It is from not having a nurturing mum. My mother was not maternal. I do not have any memories of my mum cuddling me and like hugging me and us, having heart-to-heart conversations and us sitting down and talking about our feelings. And no, fuck, I didn't have any of that. Like, I think back to my childhood, and if they didn't handle me, then I was put into my room. My dad was actually the maternal one. He was the one that I have the memories with. He taught me how to ride a bike and how to swim, and I would spend lots of time with my grandparents, his parents, who were the most loving, nurturing, warm and welcoming people. So that's where the nurturing side came from me. It wasn't from my mother. And then to go down the road of, her addiction, and from the age of 9 years old to kind of then be an adult, there wasn't any nurturing. I remember walking into my mum's room or trying to open the door of my mum's room after my best friend had just died in a car accident and she'd been drinking and I couldn't get in. Her door was locked. I had fucking nobody there. I just had a phone call of one of my best guy friends that I was with the night before had died in a car accident. And I had no one there to comfort me. And I remember when she finally came out of her room, she was half drunk. And I remember her partner at the time being more empathetic and more comforting and nurturing than she was. She just didn't have it in her. Her parents were... They were cold people. I don't ever remember feeling any sort of like nurturing love toward them. They actually made me feel very uncomfortable. It was quite hard for me to go to them because my other grandparents were the complete opposite. And it's not that I didn't love them. It's not that I don't still love them. That's just who they were. They were hard Canadians, and that was just them. There was nothing wrong with that. It's just that was my reality, and that's all my mum knew. And so now I'm here like trying to break this cycle of, this cold type of parenting or nurturing, and also knowing better. So I'm at this crossroad of like, yeah, she fucking triggers me like nothing else in this world, like nothing. I get taken back to times where when my mum was drinking, it was such an out of control experience for me that I remember freezing. And I remember like there was never any arguing. There was never really any yelling. We would just try and like take alcohol off her and she would fight us. But I don't ever remember fighting back. I don't ever remember like yelling at her or just like screaming at her like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, how can you do this to your children? I didn't ever get any of that out. But I was so out of control of the situation. I had so much anxiety around coming home every night or every day, not knowing if mum had started drinking again or what I was going to get, or if she was drinking, was she alive? Like, I didn't fucking know. So there was all of this, like, just unknown all of the time. And my body, I haven't healed from all of that, clearly, because the minute that I'm out of control of a situation with Willow, which is very often, I yell because I never had a chance to. I didn't have a voice. I didn't know how to cope. I wanted to fucking scream and I couldn't. And now my first emotion is anger. I just go straight to anger. Once I have hit that trajectory of I've had enough and there's no going back. I've maybe it's been an hour, maybe it's been half a day, whatever. It's different every time. The circumstances are always different. The tantrums are always different. Whatever's going on. Sometimes it's just been too many things in that day and I don't have somebody to offload. I'm here on my own 7 days a week with her. It's not easy. So when I do flip, I scream and I yell, and I don't intentionally yell at her, but I'll go into my room and I'll scream into a pillow. And it is honestly like an out-of-body experience where I am like, something's just taken over me and I don't even know who the fuck I am. And this is a process and a journey that I have been on for a long time and something that I will continue to be on. And it's not like I'm not doing the work. I fucking do the work. right? It is that there is so much deep rooted unsafety in my body and just so much of, not knowing what's going to happen, of walking on eggshells. My body knows, my body takes me back to that place every time of, nope, we're unsafe. But before, we didn't have a voice. So now we're going to use our voice. And now we're going to, throw tantrums. Like, that's how it feels sometimes when I'm screaming into a pillow, or I'm punching a pillow, or I'm punching my punching bag, or whatever. It feels like I am, another person having this out of body experience, because I'm being taken back to those times where I couldn't do that, where I didn't have the power to actually know how to get it out of my body. So it's like every time this happens, my body is trying to release more and more of what I couldn't at the time. And this is where the trauma lies, right? This is where the work lies. This is where I need to go back to time and time and time again to keep making myself feel safe, because I don't. Honestly, I don't. And that might sound fucking crazy. How can a 6-year-old make you feel that unsafe in my body? I'm not going to go into the type of behavior that I deal with on nearly a daily basis, but sometimes it feels like I'm being tortured. That is how it feels, oh, I want you, and then I go there and no, go away. Like, I'm not going to get into it because that I don't want to focus on the negativity of it. I'm just here bringing light to something that is not talked about enough. It really isn't. Like, and this is the shadow side of the work, right? We see all these beautiful mums on Instagram and TikTok, and we just think that they don't go through any of that, and it's a crock of shit. Like, every mum goes through really fucking hard times, whether they're telling you or not. There is a very small percentage of people, I would say 5 to 10% of people who are parents who don't have this, who maybe have done the work already prior to having children, but majority of us didn't. I didn't. She was my awakening. She was what made me go down this journey. She was what made me realize what was actually wrong. And not that anything was, wrong with me, but she was here to bring the light to what I needed to heal and what I needed to work through. And that's how I found breathwork, was, on the other side of the severe postnatal depression. And I will never, ever regret going through that. But, these are the realities of it. These are the realities of, maybe growing up without proper parents or without stability. I had it for like 9 years. Like, so stable, like every night, dinner cooked, beautiful dinner every night, 6 o'clock at the dinner table, going to my grandparents every weekend, so much stability, and then just none, absolutely none. Like, I remember my mum lying that she had a break-in, that someone broke into her house because she had done so much damage to herself. She had got so drunk that she'd fallen over in this little rental that she had just after her and my dad separated, saying that somebody had come to her door and had robbed her and had hurt her. The cops knew, like, no, she had fallen over and like fucked herself up, and she had to come up with some excuse. So I just never know what I was going to get. I never knew what type of mum I was going to have. I didn't know. Stability went out the window. I don't consider myself having a lot of anxiety, but I guess I did. I did definitely back then. A lot of just uncertainty of the unknown, like just always the unknown, of like bracing myself, of coming in the door. I'd go out to a party and come home the next day and I'd just brace myself. Like, what am I coming home to? Didn't know, and now I feel like that some days. I really do. I'm walking on eggshells around my own child, and fuck, it is hard. It is just hard. I don't want to water this down. And, it is not like I'm oblivious to the fact that a lot of this is me, and it is my triggers, and it is my internal battles. And I know that. I'm here wholeheartedly saying that I fucking know. I know that most of this is me, and that it is my reaction to her behavior, but it still does not mean it is easy. And it does not mean that you should, water yourself down because maybe you find parenthood harder than somebody else. It is okay for that to happen. And it is okay if you feel like you have lost yourself in this wild journey of motherhood, because so many of us have, and so many of us did. It does not mean that you are lost. It doesn't mean that you are to be found. It doesn't mean that you are not the same person that you were. It just means that you have so much on your plate. You have so much shit. You have so many battles that you deal with of how do you parent, there's all this stuff out there of like, you should be doing this and you should be doing that and don't send your kids to school. You should be homeschooling. Oh, but homeschoolers, what about the interaction but what about the mum's mental health? And like, fuck all of that. Like, do what is right for you. Figure out what is right for you. And I also really want to touch on, like, there is such a lack of community. Like, I remember when I first had Willow, and yes, I had antenatal, and yes, I went to the coffee groups, but I hated it. I feel like that is what led me down an even worse path with my depression. Was I would go to these things, and I don't think it was an intentional thing from any of the other mums, but I felt very judged because I wasn't doing, the swimming lessons and the space and like all of this stuff. And so I just hibernated because I just felt I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like I was a good enough mum. So I wouldn't go to these things. And then that kind of stopped me from doing a lot with her. So I feel like I missed out on a lot. And also, like, she's had to live through me going through a whole bunch of different versions of myself, clearly to better myself. Like, from the person I was prior to having her and the person I was even, when she was about 2 years old to who I am now. Like, thank fuck I've been on this journey. She's been through a lot. She has seen me at my absolute worst. And, at the time of us doing all these renovations on houses when she was little, I know that she didn't get from me what she needed. But I didn't know it at the time. You only know what you know, right? And like, I didn't know any of this work. I didn't know about secure attachments and like none of this. I wasn't fucking taught about emotions or anything. So I didn't know that at 2 years old, she needed me more than I needed to renovate a house to get us to the point of being mortgage free so that we could, live off the land and live this really easy life. I didn't know at the time that that was the better option, was to actually go, scratch all of the renovations. We need to put a priority on Willow. We didn't know that that is what needed to happen, but I know now that that's what she needed, and she didn't get that from me. So now I'm dealing with this, really broken attachment style with the both of us. So now what I'm trying to do is something that was not taught to me. So in those times of, when I'm angry and she sees me punching a pillow or screaming into a pillow or, stomping my feet, or I'm regulating my nervous system. Regulating your nervous system isn't taking a few deep breaths when you're angry and wild. Like, no, your body is telling you that you need to feel those feelings. So now that she sees all of that, I didn't see any of that growing up. So when things calm down and we come back to a bit more of a grounded level, when things have gone a bit haywire, I try and tell her now. And I've told her, Mummy wasn't showing how to process her anger, honey. I wasn't showing how to process my emotions. Grandma and Granddad didn't talk to me about, other emotions like we have on your chart. I wasn't told what to do when I felt angry. So now when Mummy gets angry and expresses herself, that is me just trying to express the anger that I couldn't feel when I was a little girl. So I explained to her why she sees these things. And I think I'm just honestly too hard on myself. Yes, I say and do things that I regret instantly. And yes, there are times where I feel like the fucking worst mum in the world, but I didn't have any of this. I didn't have this. So I am first generation of learning this shit, of like teaching my child that it's okay to be angry. It is okay to cry. It is okay to feel emotions. Like, to be the first person in my, in my family and in my lineage to have to do this is fucking hard. But I know that our next generation, it's going to be a lot easier. And I see her with her babies, and I see how nurturing and caring and loving she is. And I cannot wait to see her be a parent, because I know that she'll be a better parent than me, because I'm a better parent than my mum, But at the end of the day, it doesn't make it any easier. And I'm always here to open up a conversation with any mum, any parent around this topic, because it is so fucking lonely. Like, I can spend a week without anybody even contacting us generally, you know? And that's tough. It is tough, like feeling like I don't have a lot of friends that have children that are Willow's age. And I know that I need to reach out more, and I'm trying to do more of that, and I'm trying to get more involved with, other people and stuff. But I also have this barrier of like the judgment side of things, taking back to when she was a little girl, when I would just feel judged as a parent. So I quite often just hibernate, and I hibernate the both of us, which is not good for either of us. So I'm constantly learning, constantly trying to be better. I am trying to make myself feel safe in those times when I feel dysregulated. I'm trying to talk to myself, if things do happen, the aftermath, or even in the time of it, is saying, this is a really hard situation and you're handling it really well, instead of, why the fuck did you handle it that way, But it's all a learning curve. It is all just trying to be better every day, trying to do better, trying to be the best version of myself for her, trying to give her the best experiences and be, as present as I can, while also being a highly ambitious, career-driven woman. That's probably a whole nother podcast. Like, how fucking hard is that? Wanting to be driven, but also being a parent and be present and run businesses. That ain't easy. Some days I wish that I was just that mum that was quite happy to just stay at home and bake sourdough and do all the school things. And it doesn't, I don't miss out on anything. I go to everything to do with her school, and I'm so freaking grateful for that. And that's the freedom that I've created in my life. But I also love to work, and I love my work, and I love what I do, and that's challenging. It makes it challenging being a solo mum, running a solo business. Certainly not easy, but we're out here doing it and trying our best every day. I know that this is probably a touchy subject and conversation for a lot of women, so I'm happy to open up the conversation even more. You can get into my DMs on Instagram and send me an email. Always happy to chat and help where I can and give you, tools that help me. Some days they don't, but that's just the reality of life and being a woman. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and comment. Yeah, I would love to hear from you. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.